I'm Susannah Constantine, and this is My Wardrobe Malfunction, the podcast where I talk to an incredible range of guests about their clothing triumphs and disasters. This is our 21st Zoom episode and was recorded in September 2020. You can find it, and all other Zoom episodes, as videos at mywardmal.com, where you can also see our pyjama party and join us by emailing your own clothing calamities to help@mywardmal.com. Finally, please do subscribe, rate and review, and follow us on the usual socials at mywardmal. Right, on to today's special guest, the lead guitarist and elder statesman of the Vamps, the truly wonderful James McVey. The Vamps are releasing their brand new album, Cherry Blossom, on October the 16th, so do check it out. It really is fantastic. So, let's grab the handles, open my wardrobe doors, and find out what's inside. So, I can't quite believe today I'm with James McVey from the Vamps. A youthful young man and a great band, which I kind of knew a little bit about, James, but I've listened to your new song, Married in Vegas, and I swear I'm such a music snob and I love my music, and I got goosebumps, and that
amazing.
That probably happens about once a year.
Wow.
It is amazing. It's
Thank you.
Slightly 80s, so many more layers. It's really great, really great. I downloaded it, and when I start running again, I'll be listening to it. But you must be really pleased.
Yeah. It's the first song that we've done for about a year and a bit. So quite a long time. It's 2 years since we did an album. So in that time, I think we took a bit of time away to grow as people and musicians, and Married in Vegas is kind of, we took it back to the core of what the Vamps is, which is instruments and vocal, and that's kind of what Married in Vegas is, and it's a bit of a song about sort of throwing caution to the wind. Oh, my dog's just joining us. Here she is.
That's all right. Hello.
Hello, Mitchie.
Oh, beautiful.
My fiance shut us both in the front room, and so she's not happy. So Married in Vegas is the first single off the album, and as I was saying, it really is about having a good time, which at the moment I think a lot of us are wishing we could do. So that's kind of why we're releasing it now.
Yeah, and it is joyous. It puts you in a good mood, and I would say there's a slight nod to the Killers, which it's of course it's about Vegas, but it's if anyone who's watching, download it. It is really great. But my dog, so you did that in lockdown. How's lockdown been for you?
Yeah, it's the whole song was done in lockdown actually, from start to finish. Lockdown's been strange, obviously, but genuinely, Moochie, who just came in, our dog, we adopted her in January, and I think having a dog during lockdown, this is our first dog, and we got her not knowing obviously what was going to happen, and she's been a godsend, and because she is a rescue, she's required a lot of work, which has been very difficult at times, but also given us a bit of a purpose when we've not been able to go outside. Aside from that, with the band, it's been quite productive for us because we had to finish the album. We had nothing else to do other than finish the album because we weren't allowed to tour or do any press. So we're very lucky that all of us kind of can produce at home. So we finished everything on Zoom like this, and it meant that we actually have finished everything, and all we have to do now is go out and tour it. So it started strange, but I think once we'd all adapted to it, lockdown was it sort of transitioned into being quite a strong opportunity to finish what we needed to. So it's not been too bad.
Yeah, well, hopefully you will be able to tour it. It's a nightmare for all you guys. I have a friend who is doing a world tour, and which he had to cancel and he's, it's just real nightmare. But and so you were also getting married, weren't you? You got married in November, and you've had to postpone that too.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we were. Everything's kind of done, and it was the final touches. And then I think we didn't want to go ahead with something that was technically illegal, so we had to call it now. And look, I think for us, we've got a few elderly relatives, and we feel it may be irresponsible to bring them all together, even if it was legalized. So I think, when we get married next October now, it's actually going to be Halloween weekend, which is funny because it was originally going to be, I think, the 7th of November.
Please tell me you're not going to theme it, James. Are you?
No. But we are getting married in a castle. So it might.
Are you?
Yeah. So it might sort of already be themed without us doing it. But no, I'm not really one for dressing up. I kind of hate it. It's quite funny that someone that hates that is getting married in a castle on Halloween. The irony.
Yeah. Well, at least it's not. I mean, God, because you were on I'm a Celeb, weren't you?
Yes.
Which I find it weird that I did it, but I also find it weird that you did it. But so you could have been, if you've been doing it this year, you could have been in a castle too.
I know. I was just saying this morning, actually, bizarrely, to Kirsty, that I would have much preferred, I think, to do it in that castle in Wales than to go. Just because, I mean, obviously Australia is incredible, but I think because I felt so far away physically from everyone at home, that was like another thing. If I was like 2.5 hours away from where I live in London, in Wales, I'd be like, well, it's not that bad, is it?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And I think the cold environment is kind of easier to deal with than that heat.
Yeah, absolutely.
But so when you took a break from the band, what did you, I mean, it must have been kind of a relief, because when you're a unit like that, so when I was working with Trini, it was a double-edged sword. So I'd miss her like crazy, because we were so used to being together. It was like married. We were like an old married couple. But then also it was quite a relief. So what did you miss about your bandmates?
What was strange is we actually had a long, when I was in the jungle, after that, we took close to sort of four or 5 months apart. So we kind of already did that mini sort of like parting of ways. And we came back together sort of last spring into summer, and we started this album, and we were really getting into the swing of things. We sort of the album's called Cherry Blossom, and it really, for us, it was like a regeneration of life within the band. We sort of found it again and thought, let's do it. And as we were sort of really getting into it, and we took a month off over Christmas, but then we started again, and we were really getting excited, and then coronavirus happened. So we'd already had that kind of like, let's have some time apart and then come back together. And the momentum was building, and then we had to sort of pause it. But I guess the biggest thing was three of us out of the four live within sort of 2 miles of each other in West London. And we were seeing each other so much because Brad, the singer, had just moved to London sort of at the start of the year. So I was really getting to the swing of being able to sort of see him like most days, and it was lovely. And then all of a sudden, all this energy and excitement had to stop. I guess and also, I don't know what it's like with you when you work with other people, but definitely in the Vamps, if you're not physically together, it's quite easy for things to just slip and not happen. When
Absolutely.
We're together, I can be like, right, Brad, finish that song, or Tristan, do that, or they'll say that to me. But when you're apart, it's very easy to just sort of fade into nothingness, into a Netflix hole for 3 days.
Yeah. So would you say you're the kind of CEO of the band? Are you the managing director? Are you the one that gets things done?
I like being punctual and doing things. I think in the early days of the band, sort of 8 years ago, I'm the oldest in the band. So back then, I was sort of 18, and Connor was 15.
Young.
So I think between the ages of like 15 and 18, there is quite a big gap, really. And I think so definitely at the start, I sort of fell into that role a bit more than I do now, perhaps. And that was nice. But also, I think it's nice now that we're all very much equally invested. And I think the good thing about the band is we all contribute in a variety of different ways. And it somehow works. We're very similar sort of, well, from very similar backgrounds, and even though we're from different places and have very different interests, it somehow gels, and it's like a weird formula that that means that it just sort of gets on, and we never really have any arguments. So very lucky.
Yeah, that is great. And you grew up in Dorset, in Bournemouth, didn't you? Who inspired you clothes-wise when you were growing up, and who are your style icons? Do you have any?
I get haunted by pictures of when I was in sixth form and sort of in the early years of the band, because my fashion sense was awful. I think in the very early days, I guess like the first thing I saw of or knew of fashion was there was a wave of sort of pop punk bands from America that would be on like UK TV. So it was the people that kind of were wearing loads of black and had like really spiky long hair and all that. So
like Green Day or something like that.
So I got into that, and that coincided with me. I used to do a lot of like BMX biking. I still do, actually, which is funny. I'm now the oldest person in the skate park, and I remember when I was a child, I would look at people my age now, I'd be like, they're weird, why are they here? I'm now that person. But with that, it was all about wearing very skinny jeans, so your jeans wouldn't get caught in your chain. So I'd have like really, really skinny jeans. I was quite tall. I had like baggy t-shirts, and I had big holes in my ears because I stretched them. I had my nose pierced. I know.
Let's see your ears now.
But you can't.
You're still holy.
They're okay. They
close up well. Yeah. Ugh,
yeah. But yeah. So I went from that stage. I was sort of 14, 15 to then. There was the influx of the American kind of surf clothing companies, like the Hollister, the Abercrombie, and all that.
Yeah.
Which sort of like hit Dorset like a storm. It was quite funny. Well, I think we thought we were sort of like the I don't know, Malibu beach of England, because everyone down there, on the beach anyway, was wearing this stuff. But it was strange for me because I had that from like a fashion aspect, but then with kind of like it affected me in a way that I didn't really realize until quite recently, sort of with like body image and problems with eating, because all of their branding and even their shopping bags would have these like really muscly men on them. So I thought that I was just interested in the clothes, but actually I think it was the whole lifestyle that kind of affected me in a way that sort of has had a lasting impression to today, really. So I went from being very like almost like gothic, I'd say, to sort of surfy, like California-esque. And then it was sort of, and then like there was the whole Jack Wills thing where I was wearing like rugby tops and like polo, all that stuff. And now I guess I didn't really have like a specific person as such, but I think, whatever I was listening to or watching on TV would affect me. But now I'm kind of at a point where I think growing up in Dorset's had quite an influence on what I like to wear. So, sort of like the countryside style, like barber jackets. I must have 10 barber jackets, things like that. And I quite like comfortable but quality clothes, if you know what I mean. So I absolutely detest sort of the fast fashion side of the industry. And I very much would like to buy there's a company that I love called All Bar Brown, which I don't know if you know them, but they're sort of
what's it called?
All Bar Brown, and that they do kind of like swimming trunks. So like resort sort of wear thing. So I have like a couple pairs of those shorts that I must have worn every day since lockdown began, because they're high quality but they're very easy, and I like comfortable but high quality clothes. I'm not the sort of person that will wear like something crazy extravagant but it's itchy, because I'm like, well, it's itchy, if you see what I mean.
but then that can't translate when you're performing or when you're doing, because like your video, it is quite kind of rock and roll in the video for Married in Vegas. So what's your image going to be now when you're performing? Is it going to change from the sort of boy band?
I mean, for Married in Vegas, actually, there's a suit maker called Joshua Kane who I've been mates with for years, and I love Josh's stuff because it's quite striking. So he'd make things that are slightly bizarre. So what I was wearing in the Married in Vegas video, there's two shots, but on my solo shots, it's like a black and gold kind of woven suit thing, which I absolutely love. But again, it does go back to that comfort. So that might be slightly more, I don't know, abstract from a style point of view. But if it's not comfortable, I still wouldn't wear it really. But I think the style for that video, I mean, the whole idea of that video was the contrast between light and dark, and it's kind of going back to the album, the whole theme is rebirth and cherry blossom. So I think we wanted to sort of capture that industrial style, but then with the gold was sort of like the hints of the light in the dark. So that suit was perfect for me. But moving forward, like generally for the campaign, if you say cherry blossom, you have sort of like pastely pink thoughts. I like pastel-y colours, so sort of like the greens and the sort of like nice blues and yellows and even some like autumnal sort of brown colours. I'm probably one that's more, if you were to speak to Tristan from the band, he takes influence from very different places to me, but I tend to be the more understated, but as I said, sort of like nice, high quality, comfortable clothes, but nothing that's I don't really like wearing things at the moment that someone will look at me and be like, why are you wearing that? That's strange. I like functionable clothes normally.
So it's kind of, with you, simplicity is the art of decoration.
I think so. And I was massively influenced by the 50s in the earlier years of the band. So, like this James Dean white t-shirt and like nice fitted like jeans with like boots. Like for me, that was like the dream. So it sort of stems back from there, I think, still.
So do you think about your look as a collective, or do you just work out what you're going to wear individually?
Yeah, no, absolutely as a collective. Yeah. So for the first few years of the band, it was very much let's open our suitcase when we get into Mexico and see what we have and we'll put it on. But I think now it's important, and especially with I think it's a fine line to walk with when you think about social media and the Vamps, because for us, we never do things based on social media, but social media has made my industry aesthetic in a way that perhaps, it's always been interesting to see what bands are wearing, and it's cool. But I think now more than ever, there seems to be definitely a notion of a wider theme with every band. And so it is important that what we wear replicates what we're trying to say in our music, especially when this album is slightly more themed than perhaps we've ever done before. So yeah, we do think about it. And we before we released music, we made like a PowerPoint presentation of styles that we liked, and we recognized that the four of us are different in what we like, but we find that theme that runs throughout. So if so if I'm more like of a classic look, like a 50, like basic stuff, we'll make sure that the colours will still work and run through what everyone else is doing. So like Brad might wear like a neck scarf, but it'll match the colour of like Tristan's jeans. So yeah, we are conscious now. It's taken years to get conscious, but we are there now.
So there's a unity, but you're still individuals, which is really good.
Absolutely.
And then what about just hold up your arm, let me see your tattoos.
I've got quite a few now. They
are actually rather beautiful. Did the same person do them?
So no, actually, I've for a start, actually, my mum hates them. So it's funny you say that, because she wouldn't say they're beautiful, actually. So you're more complimentary than she is. But no, I've got them all around the world, actually. There is a guy that I use in London who's done a couple of like the big ones, but really it is similar to fashion in a way, because the style that my tattoos are slightly different from the norm, and with that it's quite difficult to find artists that can complement each other on my arms and on my chest around the world. But it is really like a style, and it's definitely sort of like fashionable at the moment to have. It's called like fine line tattoos. So yeah, I've only had them though for a couple of years, so it's funny to see how they built.
Yeah, I like the fact that they're just there's no colour.
Yeah,
That's
I don't really like colour.
Them. And they're almost sort of Japanesey in a way. There's sort of like Japanese writing. It's very fine.
It kind of looks like that. But the irony with that though is tattoos are sort of like frowned upon in Japan. So I went to I stayed in a place called Hakone, which is by sort of the foothills of Mount Fuji last year with Kirsty, and we stayed in this hotel because they had like natural onsens, they're called, and I wasn't allowed in them because I had tattoos.
Way.
So you're not really, because I think they've historically been associated with sort of the underground crime world. So I think people really don't like them. So even though they look a bit Japanesey, they're definitely not.
How old were you when you got your first one?
Oh God, I must have been 24 or 25.
Okay.
And it's funny because I actually don't like most tattoos. I think people presume that if you've got loads of tattoos, you must love them all. But I'm actually, I really am not. I always grew up saying I didn't like tattoos at all. And then, I don't know, you try and pick things that you do like. I guess it's like clothes, most people don't like a lot of what's out there, but you sort of find what you are into and then run with it. But about 2.5 years ago, I got my first one.
And my love, so when you were talking about Hollister and especially Abercrombie, I remember Abercrombie going into the New York store and I was probably kind of in my 30s, I guess, quite a long time ago. And as soon as I walked through the door feeling so less than, my self-worth went down because they were all the boys were kind of young, ripped and skinny, and all the girls were super, super thin and very young and very gorgeous. And the fact that you were wearing brands like that was kind of interesting, considering you had real body issues, didn't you, and eating issues, and didn't you have anorexia?
Well, I mean, the papers said I did.
Fed into that,
yeah.
Didn't.
It's hard actually, and maybe it's why it's important to talk about, because I think a lot of definitely men don't. We don't really. Well, I don't really know what it is. But yeah, I mean, I can definitely pin back these issues to that time of going from, it's actually quite sad, going from a point where you didn't really look at, I was sort of 15, didn't look at my body in a way, I didn't really care at all. I was just, a normal kid. And then you were sort of, as you say, you go through that door and you see all these things and you're like, oh, okay. And then coinciding with that, everybody at my school that was wearing that sort of stuff was into rugby and football, and the girls really liked them. And I think without realizing it, sort of, it shifted from, oh, I like that polo top, to I have to look like that in order to fit in with that societal group.
Yeah.
That was 12 years ago now. And even, today I will think about what I'm eating and whether I'm balancing that out with going to the gym, or I'm going to walk to my physio because I can't run, like things like that. And it is just a constant scales in my head where it can very easily tip into quite negative thoughts. But I guess now I'm lucky that because, we do things like this and I'm quite vocal about it, I actually almost look at how I'm feeling from like a third person perspective almost. And I'm like, okay, I know that these are negative and unhelpful thoughts. That's fine. And it's just about bringing it back up to being more level playing. But it's definitely something that that's bizarre. And luckily, I think more men are speaking about this sort of stuff. But it's such a bizarre thing to come out and say that you sort of regularly have quite negative thoughts about how you look. Definitely from a man's perspective in a touring band, it's a weird thing. But I've learned to live with it, and actually in some ways it kind of makes me the character I am today, I guess.
It's so important that guys like you are vocal about it, because I do think for young men and boys, it's getting a lot worse. Yeah,
absolutely is. Yeah, and I think there is so much uncertainty about it that everybody around this topic, from the person to everyone around, just doesn't really know what to say. There's been a lot of women speak about it over sort of like the past, I don't know, decade or so, but really from a man's perspective, it's only been the past couple of years. I think the key is sort of this communication. The more conversations we have, then we can sort of figure out the best method to address it. But I definitely think, you know, vocalizing how you feel is really important. So I guess like I sort of prompt people around to just sort of ask, you know, how people are feeling. And I find from like a man's perspective, if it's any of my mates, because what was strange for me is when I started talking about things, I realized actually like most of my friends around me were having similar episodes in their life, and I think it sort of taught me that especially in us guys, it's communication is really key for sort of breaking down those initial sort of barriers and hesitations.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. So when did anyone point things out to you, or is it something that you worked out on your own? I mean, did anyone help you through it, or did the band members say, "Hey, James, you know, you need to sort yourself out," or were you sorted out before the band got together?
It was definitely a revelation that occurred to me in the midst of the band sort of like craziness. So we were sort of like around the world doing loads of shows. I was away for like 90% of the time, and that's when it sort of like came to a head, because I realized that I was dictating pretty much every meal that the band was having. And like we tour with, I don't know, there's probably 12 of us on the road at any given time, and I was the one that was saying, oh, can we not go there because I can't have anything there, or let's go to this restaurant, let's go there, let's not do that. And I think it was a point, and I was just like, I can't, this is not a good way of living. You know, I was waking up first thing critiquing myself and food, and like from the moment I got out of bed, food was like a question. It was like, should I have that? Shouldn't I have that? And I think if you immediately put food in a negative position from the off, then it's just a recipe for disaster. So I think it definitely was. I think probably 3 years ago was the moment that I sort of like it changed for me, and it went from me sort of like avoiding an issue to now I sort of like embrace the issue, which sounds strange, but I think accepting.
I get that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so it's kind of like, I mean, it is an addiction. It's a sort of anti-addiction but it is that kind of feeling of needing to be in control, and that can take up your whole life. It's like being an alcoholic. You know, it takes up your whole life thinking, when am I going to get my next drink? How am I going to do it? How am I going to hide it from people? And that is exhausting, living your life like that. It's so tiring.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not, I think with the food, and in my experience, it was like, it wasn't just like an eating thing, because it was also the exercise side. So before I knew it, you know, every day a couple hours would have to be given to the gym. And to be fair, it still is now, but you'd have the food on one hand, and then you'd have the exercise on the other. So it was like two ways that I could really piss off everyone around me. It was horrible.
Yeah, horrid. So during these times, did you have anything, or that was, and when you were on tour, did you have anything, an item of clothing or anything that kind of represented a comfort blanket that made you feel better?
I think one thing that's helped, and this is going to sound so like anorak vibes, but like I've got into watches in the past few years.
Okay.
And I suppose you could say it for the same thing as tattoos, but slightly different. But I think for me, like having something that I take with me everywhere, regardless of what I'm doing, is quite important. And I watched a John Mayer interview the other day, and he said it's amazing because no matter where you are, like when you get into like a hotel room and you've got 2 hours sleep because you've got, you know, a flight at 3 a.m, like you take your watch off and it's next to your bed, and it's like that's always with you. It's like a companion, which sounds so shit, but it really is. And it doesn't. I don't really get that in an item of clothing, because this could be here forever. But no matter how much I look after a jacket, you know, at some point it will die. But I've got a few different watches that I sort of take round, and they are memories and sort of like keystone moments in my life. So I'd probably say, one of my watches.
Yeah, which is why you're always on time.
Oh, well, there we
Mr.
go.
Prompt, Mr. Prompt. And then, my love, have you? What's your worst wardrobe malfunction been?
I asked Kirsty this the other day because she's like, I'm more sort of hopeful with my clothing choices in my life. She's very critical. I went through a stage of wearing sleeveless leather jackets.
Oh my god!
The thing is, though, they were very 50s, and I thought, well, that's cool. Yeah. But then, but now they just, and I had a few denim ones as well, which awful. I think, though, in hindsight, I wore them because they were more comfortable on stage. Because I didn't really like tight, but doing that, it's not very nice
when
to
you're
do
playing
that
guitar. Yeah,
exactly. But they did sort of cross over into day-to-day life. So yeah, it would be them, I think.
Yeah, but have you had any time when an item of clothing has let you down?
I've had a couple actually. The boring one is wearing leather jackets on stage that have like zips here, and that bit always goes in the strings. The slightly naughtier one is I went to the Pride of Britain Awards years ago, and I last minute someone from the record label had to buy me a suit, and it was at a time when I really didn't care about what I looked like, really. So they bought me a suit, and it was quite tight, and my full cock is on in a lot of press pictures when I was doing the red carpet, because it was like they were so tight that I know it was too late to change. I literally went there to change. So that was awful. But no, probably one of those two.
One of those two. And then if you're your birthday suit, what would you wear if you were allowed to really push the boat out star-wise, and you felt, I'm not going to be judged or criticised by anyone? Okay.
Well, I don't buy leather anymore at all. I'm happy to have sort of like second-hand leather, but I don't really contribute to that. But in the early days of the band, I was given a Philip Plein leather jacket, and it's worth like $6,000 or something, and it's fucking outrageous. Like it is absolutely. And I would never wear it like going to the coffee shop or whatever. But like if I was to, sometimes I wear that when I want to feel special. I also have matching Philip Plein boots that are also mental. I do the combo. Probably that.
So great. And then. So your album, Cherry Blossom, when does that come out? Is it October 16th?
Yeah,
right?
October the 16th, which is in my head, that date is like next year, but we're really running out of time, aren't we? Summer's kind of over. So it'll be out before we know it.
Yeah, well, I'm so looking forward to hearing it. And you know what? You're a real inspiration, James, and you're so different in a good way to how I expected you to be. You're fucking great. So
thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Very kind.
I love talking to you. Thanks so much, my darling. You take care and say hi to Kirsty.
I will do. Thank you very much.
All right. Bye.